Hi. Okay, so I have to ask my subscribers, people that watch this video, have you ever got in a random argument or something like that with somebody that was not called for? Like you weren't purposefully doing anything, they weren't doing anything. Let's say you're both joking around or whatever, and then someone says something or you say something. Let's say it's a group of people and you say something random, everybody's just talking and stuff, and then one individual gets extremely triggered. Now at first everybody's kind of looking around like what happened, right? And then everybody starts to kind of acknowledge and understand this person has been triggered. So you have a few options. You can either all walk away or one person walks away. You can engage in conversation and ask what is wrong and see what the response is going to be of the person, said person that got triggered. If they acknowledge what it is that really bothered them, then you can go from there. Maybe the person that said something, they can apologize, be like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean anything by that. Now, there's other circumstances too where people are purposefully trying to trigger another person. That's something completely that's a whole other conversation that I would get into. But this one is not called for. So this is where everybody is on the same page. Everybody energetically are all clicking at the same time. And then one person goes off or trails off because they've been triggered by something. Now, this would be from something that they deem to be partially or actually true, and it resonates with them in some circumstance, like something really has affected them and now they're emotionally responding to it. So you can apologize, or the person that said something can apologize and say, I didn't mean to say anything like that. And now when it comes to the other person that's been triggered, there's a few ways this can go. The other person can acknowledge and say, yeah, that really bothered me, and I'm sorry I acted that way. Sorry, guys. It's just like you really struck a chord or something. That would be the acknowledgement. That would be understanding and then moving forward. Or the other person may not want to acknowledge what is really truly bothering them and where it stems from. This gets into the whole idea of people needing to do their shadow work. So when it comes to a trigger, we all have to go within each individual, and we all have to like kind of take a look at what exactly this is stemming from. So going back all the way, when the first time this was a trigger, what age you were, what was the circumstance, and then kind of figure it out on our own and then get some clarity to get some closure so we can move forward. If the other individual that has been triggered in a group, or even if it's just one-on-one, if they are not ready to do the shadow work, if they're not ready to heal from a certain thing because it's too painful, then what's going to happen is there may be an argument that starts between two people or more. And there may be some drama involved. There may be really heated debate because other people are going to then be defensive. Like, what did I do? Like, why are you acting this way? And the other person may want to stand there and continue to argue, which is not really serving any purpose, especially if they don't want to openly admit what is really truly bothering them. Or the other person that's been triggered may want to walk away. So this sort of circumstance happens a lot. I've witnessed this personally, whether this be in a work situation, a family situation. Sometimes the group, if there's more than one, will gang up on one individual because they are emotionally reactive. And there's a huge issue with that, because if there's no communication and they know that this is a hot topic or this is a button, and they've discovered that out of the other person's emotional reaction, then they may be compelled out of the whole group scenario or mind thing to continually pressing this button, or maybe they'll all want to come to a solution. And it's really crucial that we have an understanding that we come from a place of compassion, especially when another person has had a reaction. Now, if the other person's still reluctant, even though people want to communicate and maybe want to talk about it, but they are not ready, then you cannot force the other person to go within and do their shadow work and heal. This is going to have to mean that you give the other person space, even if that means you give yourself space away from the other person. Allow them to sit with themselves and think and go through whatever process they need to in order to rationalize and think about it. There are circumstances that are going to come up that the other person may have time to sit with themselves, but they still refuse to do the work and go within. And that's completely up to that person. It's free will ultimately. We all get to decide, especially even when ourselves get triggered and we have to go through the process. It is ultimately up to us to take the initiative and take the responsibility and accountability to go within and say, this is why I reacted to this situation. This is why I feel so strongly about this. And maybe I lashed out at other people, or if you are the giving part of the situation, then you can also sit with yourself and think, okay, I didn't realize this was a trigger. Now I know, and I know in future circumstances, even if we're all joking around, not to hit on that topic, or maybe I'll discuss it later when the other person has cooled off. And the problem with society is a lot of us, when it comes to group think or group mentality, there'll be a situation where maybe everybody agrees together not to be compassionate. And then there's the other circumstances where people will all get together and they will kind of confront the other person and try to talk them through it or help them go through it. And I think we need more of that. I think we need more people that have an understanding, that have compassion, that are willing to use that idea of patience being a virtue, and actually try to implement that, especially when it comes to somebody being very triggered. But again, we can't be responsible for another person doing their shadow work, and if they're not ready to do so, then we can't force them to do that. We have to just hope that they will be willing to go through the work, and if they're not ready, then they are still in a karmic state, and we also have to understand that as well and not constantly keep pushing that button. So hopefully this helps, guys. Remember, love you. And if it comes to a situation that becomes heated or there's any drama, please do your best not to become a part of the problem, and more so a part of the solution. It will really help, okay? If you like this video, like, share, subscribe, and hopefully you love you.